You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello there. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, before we dive in today, I want to invite you to a free live class that I'm hosting on Sunday, April 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called the Stop Overspending Masterclass, and it is especially for you if you're making money, but it just disappears and you know that overspending is preventing you from creating financial security and building the wealth that you work so hard for. Now, this is not a budgeting class. This is not a class that is going to list out all the restrictions and all the things you shouldn't be spending your money on. That's not what this class is about at all. If you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I believe in the philosophy of doing both, which means building wealth and enjoying life at the same time. And if you want a latte, if you want nice shoes, if you want to vacation well, I believe that you can do all of those things, buy all of those things, and still build wealth and still not overspend. And that is what we're going to be talking about in this masterclass. So this is not a budgeting class. I will not be spewing out a list of things you should stop spending on. I am going to be really getting down to the root cause of where your overspending is coming from, why it keeps happening even though you don't want it to, why the things you've tried in the past haven't worked. There's a reason why the things you've tried in the past have failed. And we're also going to talk about what needs to change so that you can stop the cycle for good. Okay, so if you want to attend, this will be on Zoom. It will be webinar style, which means you will not be on camera. You will be able to see me, but I will not be able to see you. And you can just join, set aside some quiet time. You can ask me questions. I love doing these classes because you guys, it gives me an opportunity to actually interact with you. You know, every week I'm talking out into the atmosphere and I know you're there listening, but this is our opportunity to get together and have that two-way communication. And so I would love for you to join me. You can grab your spot at jermainefoley.com/class. That's Jermaine with a G, Foley.com/class. You can also go to the show notes and sign up using that link. And listen, if you have a girlfriend, a coworker, a sister, someone in your life that can benefit from this, bring them with you because I believe that this type of information is the kind that we need to be sharing with each other. We need to have each other's backs because money, it carries a lot of weight. A lot of us are doing well on the outside, but on the inside, we're struggling, we're suffering, and overspending, I believe, is one of the main reasons why that's happening. And I believe if you can get your overspending under control, it will open up so much more life for you. You will enjoy your life so much better. You'll be able to spend on the things that actually matter to you. So yes, please, please, please invite your girlfriends. And if this is something you know you need in your life, go ahead and sign up for yourself as well. Again, it's jermainefoley.com/class. All right, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. So up until this point, in episodes 168 through 171, we talked about lots of different patterns. And many of those patterns were triggered by things internally, like boredom, stress. Also, positive emotional triggers like celebration and reward. And then we also looked at relational patterns like overgiving and people pleasing. Now, today we're going to shift into the social spender and the convenience spender, which are more subtle. These patterns are triggered more by your environment and what you're exposed to every day. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the first one, which is the social spender. And let's just call this what it is. This is keeping up with the Joneses, but it looks very different today versus how it was for your parents and your grandparents. So back in the day, I'm using air quotes here, the Joneses were your parents' or grandparents' neighbors. They were people that actually lived next door to them or across the street. And you really only saw them when they were out, right? So you would see them driving home a brand new Cadillac, right? Your parents used to witness that. And that may have triggered them to think, ooh, I need a new car too. Or, you may be having a conversation at a neighborhood cookout and someone talked about a new pair of earrings that they just purchased. And maybe your mom or grandmother was like, ooh, I wish I had those earrings too. So they would go out and purchase them. So back then, you weren't bombarded with what the Joneses were doing. And the funny thing is, you didn't even know what was going on behind closed doors at the Joneses' house, right? They could have just filed for bankruptcy, or they could be fighting about money all the time, or they could be deep in debt, maybe no retirement savings. But all your parents and grandparents saw was the flashiness, and they just wanted what the Joneses had. And that was how we came up with the phrase back then, keeping up with the Joneses, just trying to keep up with the Joneses. But the truth is, you didn't know what was really happening with the Joneses. Now, when you fast forward to today, the Joneses are in your face all the time because they're on your phone. Yes, they're in your neighborhood, but let's just be honest. Neighborhoods are not as social as they were back in the day. Now, though, we have social media. And so you're not just comparing yourself to a few neighbors, you're now comparing yourself to hundreds, if not thousands of people. You're seeing their vacations, their handbags, their outfits, their cars, their homes, their lifestyles, and it is constant. And here's the part, again, that we don't think about even today. You don't know what it's truly costing them. Just like your grandparents and your parents didn't know what was going on behind closed doors at the Joneses residence, you don't know what it's costing these people on social media. These could be people you work with, people that you went to college with, people that are just in your loose circle of associates. You don't know what they're dealing with. Some of them are in debt. Some of them are stressed about money. And listen, let's be real. Some of them are being paid to show you things. They are being paid to influence you to spend your money on the things that they're showing you. And even though if we really stop to think about it, we know that that is true, right? We don't know what their lives are like behind the filtered pictures and the curated life. We just don't know. But your brain doesn't question it. It just goes straight to, I should be doing that too. I feel behind. I need to catch up. I don't want to be the only one driving this old car when everybody else is driving luxury cars or whatever it is for you. And when you have thoughts like that, that's where the pressure comes from. That's when you start comparing yourself. That's when you start feeling inadequate. And that's when that urgency comes in. And those are the emotions that drive you to buy things and spend your money on things that honestly you didn't even want until you saw somebody else with it. So it's not even a true desire of yours. You're just saying yes and upgrading things without even thinking about the fact that you're being influenced or that those pictures are filtered. And just before they took that shot, they had an argument with their spouse. You just don't know what's behind those very pretty, very curated pictures. But we are putting ourselves in financially strenuous situations just to keep up with someone who isn't even really thinking about you. So the issue really isn't what you're seeing around you. Look, pictures, photos, showing up on social media, all of that is neutral. It is meaningless until you make it mean something about yourself. And a lot of us make it mean that we're inadequate, that we need to catch up, that we're behind, and that we need to upgrade our lives. And once you start thinking like that, that's when the spending starts to get out of control and you become a social spender. And that's the pattern that you'll find yourself in. So with the social spender, your environment is influencing your spending more than your true values and what really matters to you. Now, The second pattern we're about to dive into is the convenience spender, and this one is different. It's not about comparison, it's more about ease. The convenience spender is simple. You're not spending because you want more, you're spending because you just want things to be easier. And I really want you to be clear about this. Convenience spending is not a problem. I am a big proponent of buying back your time, right? So if you are someone who likes a meticulously clean house, I don't see anything wrong with hiring a housekeeper that comes in once or twice or 3 or 4 times a month. Who knows? However you set it up. For me, my convenience spending is on grocery shopping. I absolutely hate it. I always dreamed of being able to pay someone to go grocery shop for me. And now that we have all of these services available to us, that is where I spend a little bit more because I love the convenience of not having to go to the grocery store and having someone else shop for me and it just shows up at my doorstep. Like, I love that. So I am not saying that you shouldn't spend on conveniences. I think we need to be intentional about it, but I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. So let me just be crystal clear before we get into it further. I believe in paying for conveniences. Your time matters. Outsourcing things and protecting your energy can be a really, really smart decision. But here's where it becomes a problem: when it's unintentional, repetitive, and unexamined. This shows up clearly with food. You go grocery shopping, you have food in your house, you have plenty to choose from, but at the end of the day, instead of cooking or having a meal at home, you decide to order out. Not only do you order out, you have it delivered by one of the delivery companies. And maybe you choose something simple like a Chipotle, and your $15 bowl becomes a $30 bowl because you're paying for delivery fees and tips and upcharges that come from these apps, right? So again, if you did that once a week, maybe it's not a big deal. But when this is your default, you're doing it for lunch and dinner several times a week, this can become a pattern that can just quietly suck up your income. And then at the same time, your groceries are going bad, so you're double spending. Another example is this whole buy now, pay later phenomenon. This usually shows up when you're about to check out. Maybe you're browsing, maybe you're just, surfing, and you find something that you like, and you are offered a buy now, pay later option. Again, nothing wrong with choosing those options, but what they are doing is making the decision feel easier in the moment. So instead of asking, do I want to spend $200? It becomes, it's just $25, right? $25 over the next 8 weeks, and then voila, it's paid off. So you say yes. And again, that one time, it's not a problem. But if you do it again and again and again, you'll end up with 10 of those. I work with clients all the time, and they have multiple buy now, pay laters. And every week, their account is getting tapped over and over again with $25, $40, $15. And so they have multiple payments coming out every week, and then they are confused about where their money is going until we actually take a look and see where it's going, right? So again, convenience, the convenience of not having to spend $200 on something in the moment, you spread it out over time, and you don't do it just once, you do it over and over and over again. And so again, you're not weighing your options. You're just defaulting to what's easier in both of those situations. You're tired. It's been a long day. You don't feel like thinking. And so you do what's easy in the moment. That's why it's called convenience spending. Okay. Again, nothing wrong with these things, but when it becomes a pattern, they will eat up your money. And this is why a lot of people are constantly wondering, where is all my money going? It's not that you bought the bowl from Chipotle. It's that you bought the bowl for double the price because of all the fees. It's not that you purchased an item on buy now, pay later. It's that you purchased 10 more items after that. Those are the issues. Okay. So in the moment, I know it makes sense. It feels so easy. That's why it's so sneaky. But every decision that you make, these small justified decisions, when you're telling yourself it's just this one time, when it becomes a pattern, it adds up. That's when you end up with 6 buy now, pay laters hitting your account every week. That's when you have 4 or 5 DoorDashes every week, and that's where your money just slips away, okay? It can really, really derail things. Okay, so here's what I want you to think about this week. Which one of these show up for you, the social spender or the convenience spender? Are you spending because of what you see around you or because something just feels easier in the moment? I want you to just notice this. How much of your spending is actually intentional and how much of it is just what you've gotten used to doing? Next week, we're going to bring this all together. So if you haven't listened to episode 168 through 171, I highly recommend you listen to them sometime this week so that you can be all caught up. And the episode next week will just really, really come together well for you. And the big finale is going to be during my free masterclass, which is the Stop Overspending Masterclass. We're going to bring it all together and I'm going to tell you how you can change it. Right now, we're just shining lots of awareness on these. But if you come to the class, you're going to learn why this keeps happening and actually how to change it. And so remember, save your spot and invite a friend. You can go to jermainefoley.com/class. That's Jermaine Foley, Jermaine with a G.com/class to sign up to save your spot. And you can share that link with your friends and family. And I would love to see as many of you podcast listeners there. And remember, you will not be on camera. So set some time aside, mark your calendar, commit to being there live, and let's have a really good time unpacking all of this information. Because again, overspending is one of the biggest wealth stealers. And once you get that under control, the sky is the limit to what you can do with your money. All right, I will see you all next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.